So welcome back to another episode of Mountain Road Ride. In today's episode we're going to talk about oval chainrings. So it's a bit of a controversial topic in the cycling industry. I think a lot of people, they really like their oval chainrings, but others, they absolutely think that it's just a marketing gimmick and they don't see the point in using an oval chainring. So what I want to do in today's video is talk you through my thoughts and experiences thus far with the oval chainring. I've been able to ride this Wolf Tooth PowerTrac Elliptical Chainring for the last 1,000 kilometers or 600 miles of riding. I must say, spoiler alert, I've developed quite a liking in the oval chainring. I found it to work for me, but I want to share with you why I think that is the case. So I want to walk you through the logic that sits behind an oval chainring and why I think the pedal technique and also the design of an oval chainring actually match very well. So in this video, I'm going to first walk you through that pedal technique so we can see the various phases of the pedal revolution. We're going to then look at the oval shape and how that can match up with the pedaling technique. But then I also want to come back and talk a little bit about that oval shape. The oval shapes differ across the industry, and you'll find different manufacturers adopt different shapes to that oval chainring. And that's where I want to talk a little bit about the Wolf Tooth chainring and why I kind of like the shape that they've come up with for this particular oval chainring. And then I'll also share my thoughts and experiences of where I think in real world riding the oval chainring stands to benefit you the most. So with that, let's first dive into the pedaling technique and then we'll swing back and talk a little bit more about the oval design. Alright, so right now I'm on the bike. I've got the round chainring on the bike, and what I want to demonstrate to you is the actual full circle revolution and those various phases that we get throughout that pedal revolution. Now, note that I am actually just going to unclip my shoe on the other side, so I don't have my left foot clipped in. And so this is to really kind of like isolate that the leg movement around the pedal revolution. Alright, so what you can see is I've got the gear currently set to the hardest gear that I can achieve on this setup, just to illustrate the point of how difficult it can be in certain phases to turn that particular gear. So throughout this phase, from basically sort of a 1 o'clock position all the way through to the bottom there, about 5 o'clock position, I have quite a lot of strength. I can use my quad muscles, my dominant muscles on my leg, and really push down on the pedal. That is until I get to the bottom of the pedal stroke. Note how difficult it is. Actually, I'm kind of getting stuck here at the bottom of the pedal stroke in this hard gear, trying to rotate that pedal around the bottom of the pedal stroke. Why? Because I, at this point, have my leg fairly extended, so I don't have a lot of leverage, and that makes it harder to roll through. And right now, I really have to pull up on that pedal to try and get it around the bottom edge of the pedal stroke. And once I get to the end here, basically around the 7 o'clock position, I can again start now utilizing my calf muscle. So now, obviously, I don't have my other foot clipped in, so I can only utilize this one leg's calf muscle. And this is where I want my toe, my straps around my shoe to be nice and tight, so I can actually pull up on it and then all the way to the top of the pedal stroke, right here around that 12 o'clock position, is again where I experience a dead spot. Because right here, I haven't quite engaged my quad muscle just yet, or the quad muscle is in such a position that it doesn't have a lot of leverage. I almost have to like rotate my hips back a little bit to try and get a little bit of space, and then only can I engage my muscle again. So you can see that there are sort of a few phases throughout this pedal stroke. Clearly, I've got a very powerful position right there throughout that phase right there. A very strong power position because I can utilize my dominant quad muscle. Then around the back end, I can then use my calf muscle again, pull up to the top. But it's in that very top position and also the bottom position where I rely on the momentum of the pedal to swing me through those dead spots. So basically, I need the momentum from the downstroke to carry me through the dead spot, and then I can utilize the calf muscle again, and that again, I need the momentum to roll over the top and then extend back down. So in these two dead spots, the top and the bottom of the pedal stroke, that is where I am biomechanically weakest throughout this pedal revolution. Alright, so let's just take a closer look at this oval chainring. So you can see up on my gravel bike right now, I've got the oval chainring, and you can clearly see that difference in the shape compared to a normal round traditional chainring. So there I've got the oval now orientated, where you can see how it's kind of just taking a normal round circle and squishing it in from both sides, giving you that oval shape. A little bit more about the oval shape later in this video. This circle radius is now constantly changing around this oval shape. I've got an end here that's got a longer radius, and then I've got a side here of the oval that has got a shorter radius as well to that circle. Now, this is how we can then use that constantly changing radius to our advantage throughout those various pedal phases that I just showed. So if I now take this all the way to the top, I mentioned that that is sort of where we have our weak spot. But as I mentioned in that earlier explanation, once I kind of roll through that weakness at the top end of my pedal stroke, I'm now in the power phase. So basically from that 1 all the way to like that 5 o'clock position is where I have a stronger pedal stroke, because I can now obviously exert force down onto the pedals. And note now what is currently happening with this orientation of the oval chainring. You will see that I've basically now gone into a position where I have the larger circle radius as a point that I need to overcome as I pedal down on that circle revolution. And that's exactly where you can stand to gain benefit from this oval chainring, because now you have a circle radius that's slightly bigger, requires more torque to overcome, and you're doing so in the phase of the revolution where you have the biggest potential to put down power onto the pedals. As we now go through that revolution, and you'll see we get to the bottom end of the pedal stroke, I start to lose power. The ability to push down on the pedal becomes less and less, and I'm basically entering that weak spot at the bottom of my pedal stroke. Note now I have now gone to the area where the circle radius is smaller, and so then you're requiring still that momentum to carry you through the bottom end of the pedal stroke. And then we get to the second power phase, as I explained earlier, where we now go sort of from a 7 o'clock position all the way through to that 11 o'clock position. And then again, now what's present there is the bigger radius of the circle or the oval that we have to overcome. So that is essentially how this oval shape plays in with those biomechanical limitations that I explained earlier, and how the shape can assist you or make it a little bit harder in certain phases of the pedal stroke, so you're able to utilize the power most efficiently throughout that pedal revolution. Alright, so now you've seen the logic behind the oval chainring. It's important to also just understand the differences that exist within the industry. So if you look at different manufacturers, and what I want to do in this video is compare Wolf Tooth with Garbaruk and also with Absolute Black. So I'm going to look at two specific metrics that you need to be aware of when you're looking at an oval chainring, and then I'm going to relate those back to why I actually like the shape that Wolf Tooth has come up with for their oval chainring. Now those two things being timing and also ovality. So starting with the simpler one, ovality. So basically as you start changing up that shape of the oval, it can be a little bit more aggressive and also less aggressive in terms of the way you shape that oval. And this is where the ovality percentage will come in. So with Wolf Tooth, they're using an ovality of 10% versus some of the other industry players out there going up to 12%. So they don't adopt as much of an aggressive shape on this particular chainring, making it less impactful on the way that it feels. And touching on that topic, just to get that out of the way straight away, I think that is the burning question that anybody who might be skeptical of an oval chainring will have, is does it feel oval? And I'm going to show you it definitely does not feel oval to ride this chainring. It feels very natural. Those biomechanical limitations that I mentioned earlier and the shape of the oval ring just play together so well, and it really smooths it out much more than you would expect. If you just look at the way an oval chainring spins around, it just doesn't look natural, right? And it's one of those things that plays a massive trick on the human mind. When you get on a bike with an oval chainring for the first time, you really expect that same sensation that you see with the eye to also translate into your legs. That is absolutely not the case. So with that 10% ovality, I feel like it's a very smooth, very natural feeling to each pedal revolution. Now, the other metric that you've got to look at with an oval chainring is the timing. So that has all to do with the way that that oval shape is actually orientated around the crank arm. So think of it as similar to your car's engine, where you have a timing to ensure that the pistons fire at the correct time in order to transfer power into your engine. So too, you want to orientate that chainring to ensure that it engages at the optimal point to basically fire the power from your legs into the chainring at the optimal time. And again, as with the ovality, the timing differ between manufacturers in the industry. You'll find that with Wolf Tooth, they've opted for 112 degrees of timing versus something Gabaruk, they're at 108, and with Absolute Black, there's a bit of a range that they deal with depending on the size of the chainring. But that brings me back to Wolf Tooth and why I actually like their shape, because both of those metrics, both the ovality and also the timing, make them less aggressive on the timing and less of an oval shape. So that means at the end of the day, it does not feel as daunting to get into the oval space for the first time. I was fairly skeptical when I first got into the idea of buying an oval chainring, and with that statement of being less aggressive and less of an oval shape, it made it a little easier pill to swallow to try it out for myself. And at the end of the day, I have been very, very pleased that I gave it a shot, because the real world experiences has been nothing but a massive surprise. When it comes to the real world application, one area in particular really stood out for me, and that is a long, steep gravel uphill. One of the results of smoothing out your pedal stroke all around that pedal revolution is actually the addition of some traction. Nowhere else do you benefit more from having that additional traction than on a long, steep gravel climb where the surface level is already kind of loose. So rather than talk about it, I'm just going to take you out on a ride, and we're going to check it out, head over to a local park, and I'm going to show you that particular application and its benefits of the oval chainring in practice. Let's go for it. Alright, so let's not just talk about the chainring and its capabilities. I want to demonstrate to you what it's capable of on a steep gravel climb. I think that for me is one of the areas where it performs really at its best and where I can feel the benefit from that oval chainring the most. So you can see that I've brought the gravel bike out to this local park that I've got nearby, and we're going to do some steep gravel climbs today. Now, this particular trail, that one down there, I'm going to take you down, is called the Difficult Run Trail, so you can check that out. And yeah, so that trail definitely lives up to its name. It's quite difficult to ride. I'm going to show you, I'm just going to go in a little closer to the surface area so you can see what I'm going to have to deal with on this particular ride. Now you can see this is a very loose, chunky gravel. This is not easy stuff to ride on, and I think the camera is not really going to do this slope much justice. This is a pretty steep climb. I'm going to walk down it just a little bit so you can see what it is I'm going to be riding up. And this for me is really the area where that oval chainring gives me the biggest assistance. I think this is the type of terrain where you really want to smooth out your power transfer throughout that pedal stroke as much as possible. Loose gravel all the way down here. I have to be kind of careful just walking down it now. And you want to maintain as much traction as possible. You can see the climb's going all the way down there, and that's what I'm going to be riding up right now. Now, as I said, I need as much traction as possible. This is the type of terrain where normally, if I'm not on that oval chainring, I would naturally have to sit down to prevent slipping and spinning out. This particular hill is one of those hills where I'm definitely going to be maxing out my chainring capacity. So that's also going to come into the picture when I'm coming up this climb. I want to see that when I get up out of the saddle, and you'll see that in the shots when I climb up this hill, I am most likely going to have to get up out of the saddle due to that limitations of my range, and that is where the smoothing out of the power transfer can just assist a little bit. I think this is the type of terrain where gravel riders and also particularly mountain bikers stand to gain the most from having an oval chainring. So let's check it out. I'm going to show you how it goes up and down this hill. Alright, so that is it from my side. Quite a lot to say on this topic, quite technical, get into the weeds of how we pedal and the thinking and the logic behind the oval design a lot more, but I hope you found this insightful and that maybe there's something in it for you. So my overall recommendation is really do give this a shot. If you've got the funds and you've got the means to try this type of oval chainring, do give it a go. There might just be something to it. Maybe it's a placebo effect, I don't know, but I have found this to be quite helpful for my riding, and I'm going to continue to ride this for quite the foreseeable future. Alright, so hopefully you found this helpful. If you did, please be sure to give this video a like and do subscribe to our channel. We'll be back with more bike related content in the future. That's it from my side. I'm Vian. Until next time, and enjoy your ride.